Hello. This time we're going to have a look at how a slip joint knife works. There are many shapes and styles and sizes of slip joint knives, just the same as any other pocket knife or any other knife in general. Probably one of the most notable slip joint knives is the Swiss Army knife. These are slip joints. A slip joint knife is a knife, it's not a lock, but it's one of the types. So if you had, say, a back lock, liner lock, slip joint, that's kind of how it fits in. But these are not held open with a lock. It's just the tension of a spring. These are the springs in here, and we're going to use this knife to have a look at it in closer detail just shortly. But the Swiss Army knife is just one of many styles of slip joint. This is a fairly old style of knife. I can't remember exactly what this one's called, but this is a case. These are also slip joints, and you can see here these two pieces are the springs. Now if I open up the blade, you could see that the spring has raised. Yes, this bar is a spring, or a tension bar. I suppose you can call it a tension bar. But once again, this is not a lock. But that's how it's held open. It's not a lock because you do not need to press a button to close the knife, or move a lever or twist anything. You just straight up close it. Let's have a look at some other slip joints. The Barlow is a slip joint. This Enzo is a slip joint. This is a more modern slip joint. These Scout camping style knives are also slip joints. I should say, just because a knife is a slip joint and it doesn't have a lock doesn't mean that the blade won't stay open. Some slip joints do have a lot of tension behind the blade, and as such they're hard to open and close, and they can actually break your nail if you're not careful when opening them with the higher tensioned knives. So let's have a look at this knife in greater detail. As you can see, I've taken the scales and the liner off the side of this Boker XS. So that's what it should look like, minus a clip. On the other side, you can see the scales here. Now this piece here, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a spring or a tension bar, whatever you want to call it. I suppose tension bar would be more appropriate, but these are often called springs, and technically they are. So how this works is when you open this knife, this piece here snaps into position on this piece here. I don't know the technical names for it, but I'll just demonstrate that. So if you watch, you can see there that, like the other knife, the tension bar moves when we open and close the knife. Now it is supposed to do that. So we'll flip back around to the other side. Hopefully I'll be able to get this on the camera. You could see, as I pivot the blade, that tension bar moving. It does have a stop. I'm not entirely sure what angle that is, but most modern slip joint knives have that. As you can see, it just jumped into place and stopped. That's a safety feature on modern slip joint knives. The slip joint knife is an older design, and for most people, lock knives are favourable, but these are still great for countries that do not allow people to carry lock knives, UK being an example of this. But of course, because it doesn't have a lock, it means it's more likely to close on your fingers, which is why this feature is on some modern slip joint knives. Not all of them, but this Boker does have it. And again, that's to stop the knife closing on your finger. Ignore that, that was from sharpening a knife earlier on. So if we continue opening the knife, you can see it snaps into place. And this is what keeps the knife open. So it won't close until I fold the blade. And you can see this tiny little hook right there. That helps to keep it open, keep it into place. This is pretty much how all slip joint knives work. Now, I could be mistaken, there could be a few variations to this, but as I understand it, this is what most this is how most slip joints work. Now, I'm by no means an expert, I've not done a great deal of research, but I am a guy who does have quite a few knives. Not as much as some, but I do have quite a few knives, and I very much enjoy knives and collecting them and using them and learning about them, and things like this is just another interesting aspect to knives, in my opinion. Now, if it's something like this, where they have multiple implements, they'll have this piece here on both sides. So this case, on one of the two bars, tension bars, it'll have this piece on either end. And of course the other blade, the other tension bar probably won't have that. So these two smaller blades here, this sheep's foot blade and this pen blade, share that top tension bar. You can see again, I've been raised up, but it hasn't raised on this side until I close it. Now you can see both sides are raised up. Now if I open this clip point blade, the larger blade, you can see it's been raised up there, but not the back. You can see that this is pretty much exactly the same idea as the Boker. Now, there are a few locking knives that work very similarly as these slip joints, and one of those knives is the Lockback. This is a very well-known knife or knife style. This particular piece being made by Buck. You can see that also has the tension bar. But it does not close when I try to fold the blade, because this one is a lock knife. So I have to push this button to lift up the tension bar. So you can see this is very similar to these other knives. Now, unfortunately, I'm not able to take this knife apart because it's a riveted construction, and I'm not willing to drill that out just to demonstrate how a knife works. I've never even used this knife. It's just sits in the collection. Now, it's not completely the same. It is slightly different on the insides, but like I said, unfortunately, I'm I'm unable to demonstrate that. If ever I do get a knife that has screws construction that I'm able to take apart, I probably will. If we look on the back of these two knives, you can see there is fairly similar. Same with the Boker. Now, aside from being from slip joints being legal to carry in some countries where lock knives are not, there is also another reason why you may wish to own a slip joint over a lock blade. Simply, the answer to that would be, for some people, tradition. These are older style knives and they're still popular today. They're usually really well made, and it's nice to go back to the roots of the knife design. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure how old these patterns are, but they're still very nice and they're still very popular today. I personally quite like this pattern, although I only own one. So I hope you learned something from that video. It went on a little longer than I hoped for, but either way, I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully you've got a better insight now, if you didn't before, to how a slip joint pocket knife works. Okay, thank you for watching.